forward on this. Okay. Okay. So I think the recording started. So just to start off, what has been your experience with Project Humanities, and how do you get your start you getting to know the movement and just Project Humanities in general?
Yeah, so Neil Lester is actually a friend of our family for wow, a really long time. um, Even before I attended ASU in the 90s. So I think is when that all started. Um, but my mother, I believe, actually hired him on, and she had been at ASU since I was about 3 years old or so. Um, and I remember, her talking about Neil and her wanting to get me into some of his classes even, but I was extremely intimidated. But his personality and passion um, is always there and very evident. So she actually passed, my mom, and Neil put together her celebration of life, and it was actually on the ASU campus. And so that's where we kind of reconnected after I had left and got married and had kids and done all of that stuff. And it just reminded me of, again, his passion, his kindness, his humanity, and his love for my family and my mom. And that was very touching. Sorry, I had a moment there.
Oh,
So when I was married to, I'm married to the same man, but he was active duty in the Marine Corps at the time
mhm.
of my mom's passing when I came to campus, and we did the celebration of life for her. And then he left the military and we came back, all places, Phoenix. So um, before I even returned, I think is I'd already reached out to Neil and just asked him what he was doing. And so in that time that after my mom's passing and us leaving the military, I had gotten a master's degree in wellness, became a coach. I'd already taught yoga for a while, and really my focus was on how to make people thrive and make their lives better. Not make it, but educate them as I had been educated to really take care of ourselves and each other.
Mhm.
And I remember, Googling him or something on ASU and seeing Project Humanities, and I saw the page, I started reading about it, and I was like, got the goosebumps. It was really cool. Came back to Phoenix, and a lot of the connections in my life were people doing kind of similar things, maybe not so much activism or anything at the time, but ways to reach out and better community. And
Mhm.
so when I saw Neil again, when I moved back, I said, hey, how can I be a part of it? And also, can I introduce you to anybody in my life, and what can we do? And it was still, I mean, I guess it wasn't really brand new, and it only was in the first few years, but I started to go to some of um, the events,
Mhm.
and I had feedback. And he was kind enough to want the feedback. And I can't remember the name of the person that was running the program at the time. She had asked me and a couple other people to be on kind of an advisory type of board. And I put on my calendar, gave them time, like looked over the website, gave them feedback of what I felt, I was kind of feeling when I went to the events, because I felt, is this a really honest interview?
Yeah, 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 for sure.
It's a very honest interview.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm like, it feels like it's completely about you, which he's amazing and I absolutely love him. But he's got such a presence and a personality and a way about him and a charisma, and a compassion, that it was like, I felt it was about him more than creating the community. And I also, again, that he knows me, so I'm kind of blunt at times. I'm like, there's a lot of old white people, and I don't see other people here.
Mhm.
And I'm like, where's the youth? Where's the different colors? Where's, and and he pointed him out. There was there, but I just, for me personally, at a lot of the events, there wasn't many, and I didn't feel those voices so much. So in that time, it really had nothing to do with me because he had a lot of this already on his brain and a lot of people he'd already talked to. And it might have been a funding thing as well,
Mhm.
of getting all of that and making it bigger, because he's one person, right? And so he has to have other people come in and be able to do these events or be able to create these relationships. And he had already, started that, but it just got richer and richer over the years, and the events got better and the voices got louder, and there's all different generations happening, and that would be like 6, 7 years ago. Gosh, I can't even remember. I think is when I first talked to him about it. And ever since, I brought my sister over to do it. And she's huge. She's a founder. She's doing like everything there, which is awesome. And it's been amazing to watch it grow through the pandemic too, I think, because
Yeah.
if it didn't exist and didn't already have those roots, it couldn't have done what it did while it was there if it was just created during that time instead of the years of blood, sweat, and tears that so many people had put into it. I don't think it could have done what it did while we were all kind of searching for that common humanity.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, for me, it's a huge touchstone. If I would have stayed in Phoenix, I said many times how I would have wanted to be even more a part of Project Humanities.
For
So
sure, for sure.
I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, no, that was great. That was great. And just going along the same lines of that, how have you seen, like, I know you were touching on it a little bit earlier, like the amount of communities that are touched by the organization, but anything just like with the actual structure of the organization, or how like the mission has evolved over time, like with your experience, because
Yeah.
your experience with Dr. Lester goes way back, so it would definitely it would be
Yeah.
good to get that. Mm.
Well, it was also because my experience goes back with him. You always come in it with your own glasses, your own expectations, even if you think you're completely open to something, the way that you're raised, the way that you've interacted with these other people, the fact that I grew up in Arizona,
Yeah.
and, of mixed race and, had all of these things. For me, I saw it as very much, we're focusing on him and his personality, and then also on the black and white. Is there more too? But he pointed out to me, we had already been doing a lot at the time with homeless reach, which is I brought my son to that, and it was amazing. We helped with the homeless outreach. He pointed out, the LGBTQ voices, et cetera, being brought more to the forefront. And then more recently for me, being a part of the toxic positivity was huge. I had actually heard of the guest speaker before. I've heard of that terminology. That's my field. That's what I do, is to kind of educate people on wellness and how we're touched by our own experiences within society, and then how kind of like maybe we're lacking understanding or compassion for others and their experiences. So for me, I think it's grown as we've grown as a community in Arizona. And I say we because I lived my whole life there until 9 months ago when I moved to the island of Hawaii. But not just that community in Arizona, but as a country, like all the things that were happening. And Arizona, was there for 40 years plus. Had a lot of growing to do, but had a lot of amazing people and a lot of great culture and all these things happening within it. And I think Project Humanities tapped into that really well. And it kept bringing those voices forward more, like talking about, indigenous communities there, but also we've had, Black, brown, queer, all these different people there forever. And I know because I grew up with them. So it was nice to see Project Humanities, bring those voices forward and say, this is our community. This is who we are, and we need to acknowledge that, and we need to embrace it because it's huge. It's actually really hard to have left Phoenix because I feel like we were coming into like understanding our beauty more and more recently, and I truly believe a lot of the efforts of what Project Humanities did helped that happen.
For sure, yeah. I think just like going down the programs list, there's so much more visibility for so many different communities, and talking about the intersectionality of everything. So that's definitely one thing that really resonated with me for sure.
That's the term too, right? He brought that back to me, the intersectionality of it. Because I would always be talking like, this feels like this, and it's a part of this. And he's so eloquent, right? And he's so smart, where he'd help me like bring all this passion together, and he would, just be able to digest my words too, and then eloquently even say them back to me. So he's a great leader.
Yeah. 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 Thank you. That was great insight for sure. Um, and so, talking about the Project Humanities programming, what has been like your favorite, if you had one memory, one program, one just like event that really sparked your interest in Project Humanities, what would that be? And how was your experience with that?
Well, I wish I would have prepared for this better because I
Yeah.
cannot remember the gentleman's name, but it was the
Mhm.
song, and it was years ago, that was written for Project Humanities by like a Motown legend.
Mhm.
And I believe that he passed shortly after coming to Arizona and presenting the song. And I got to be there and be a part of that. That was um, amazing. On a personal note, more so the two things I mentioned before, the homeless outreach and, surprising to me, the toxic positivity event, because so much was happening in my life at the time of the toxic positivity event, the transition here. Um, what I felt was kind of like the crumbling of my home and like what things were happening back in Phoenix, and not being able to, in my mind, be able to speak openly about my feelings as a Black woman, and a Black woman that also teaches yoga and is very positive, but also wants to be very honest. And, just so many things that touched me huge. And it helped me find the vocabulary and to have other conversations and to kind of point people in different directions. I actually had many people that were part of my social media.
Mhm.
I forwarded them, the information about that event. And I think that they also started going to the page. So that was big to me. And for the homeless outreach, as I had said, um, Phoenix is Arizona is home to me. And I don't think I realized how big of an issue it was until I helped out with that, and met so many amazing people that were helping out and that were also had found themselves experiencing homelessness for one reason or another. And then being able to bring my son,
Mhm.
and it felt like so many conversations I tried to have with him over the years. That one time when he went there with me to volunteer made them real.
Mhm.
Yeah, he like even said to me when he's done, he's like, I know what you mean by this, this, and this now. And I was
Mhm.
like, whoa, like, how does that happen? Because kids don't, especially teenagers don't hear their parents. But he he got reality, and he felt very fortunate
Mhm.
when he was done there. And he also felt like, yeah, there's some things I need to be a part of changing.
For
So
sure.
I love that we're not, or Project Humanities is not just some academic think tanky, like, we get into that, right? We talk about things forever in academia, but it's actually doing. It's actually
Mhm.
going out there and saying, I'm not going to just tell you what the research says. I'm not going to just use these certain words to describe these issues in our community. We're going to make it so we all understand. We can see each other, and we can also find a way to help each other through it, to understand it better by having action in there as well.
For sure, yeah. Even like with the pandemic and everything going on, still I could see like on the Facebook page and the social media, everybody was so like trying to coordinate things for the homeless outreach for sure. Like I remember hearing like I have 20 water bottles here that need to be gotten here, 20 cases of this and that. And so it was really great to see the community still having some sort of interaction, despite not being able to readily interact physically. It was good to see for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Appreciated all that work.
yeah. So we talked about the past of Project Humanities. We talked about I guess the present. Well, what did you enjoy about it? So I guess 10 years from now in the future, what what are like the what do you want to see continue happening in Project Humanities, and what type of conversations and what changes or improvements would you like to see within the whole movement?
Yeah. I'm definitely, I come at it from a very self-centered way, just to let you know, is for me, I want more people to know what Project Humanities is,
Mhm.
to be able to say it, and them to know it. I know it's global. I know we've gotten, shout outs from across the country and the world,
Mhm.
and those relationships are there. But I had been speaking to my sister actually about this, and I said, when I left Arizona, that was one of the things that I was kind of bummed about, because I want to watch the growth happen, and you're such a big part of it.
Mhm.
And some of the things I mentioned, she said, Neil, and all you guys have already started to look into, is just like expanding that message through social media, because we're never going to go back to where we were before. There's always going to be people working remotely, living remotely, and really interacting more and more and more through social media. And so as we've looked at through, the idea that legislature has to change, the way that we look at corporations, and all of the way that we message has to change, we have to realize that the way that we interact and communicate with one another has already changed. So you have to catch up and be able to be recognized in that manner.
Mhm.
And I think if more people knew about what Project Humanities has already done, you might be able to replicate it in other communities, but still kind of come back to that source, because it is, you know, that mission statement more than anything. It's not, it doesn't have to be all Neil, it doesn't have to be all Arizona.
Mhm.
It is that mission statement for the whole world. And it's what he started it. You know, the reason he started it wasn't just to be something right out of ASU, right? So my hope is to become like a larger presence. And then, like I said, it's selfish as well, as I want to hopefully be a part of that in some way, wherever I might live and wherever I might be. And I think that kind of branding and that kind of like same messaging would really help. Am I great at branding and marketing? No, but I'm a consumer and have been on this planet long enough to be like, yeah, that's what you need. Well, because I know for a fact, not just hope, that
Mhm.
it will stay true to what the mission is. It'll
Mhm.
never become, you know, just cool, like the cool thing to do because you get like a celebrity or somebody, and the hashtag becomes big. It will always come back to the research. It will always come back to education. And I find myself going back to the site sometimes when I even want to have, you know, rich conversations about individuals, about everyday things. Like the other day was about, you know, is it about I don't know if I can say this, but just how we take care of issues with our children. So where I live right now, there have been people in the community that have asked maybe me to be a part of something more and maybe bring my gifts to it. And I always think about Project Humanities and what I learned there. And I remember a wonderful event that you guys had that I went online about, which was like Black culture is not linked to beating children. And for some reason, that's the way that we've seen it over years. Well, throughout this conversation, it was like, okay, where did that idea come from? And let's look at the literature and let's see what people feel about it, and where did we believe all of a sudden that something happened during a time of being slaves had to do with actually the way that we were before we were brought to this country. And it just like opened up my mind and my eyes. And I wish all education could do that, keep looking back, but it's not going to. It's going to need people that come forward, create something like Project Humanities, or create kind of an offshoot of it, to have that kind of those kind of hard conversations, but also the compassion that's there with it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Neil told you, I talk a lot and I have a lot of passion inside of me. And the thing is, when I come back to, I think about Project Humanities, it's this passion with facts and academia put together to make real action happen. And it's that, to me, I think is what's missing in a lot of areas, because you have people hungry to want to be better or to know better. And then these people that maybe know another way. And then these also people that maybe have these huge hearts, but we're not coming together and actually enacting and making change happen. There's a lot of butting heads and not knowing what's the right thing or how to communicate with each other, because we're representing different communities and we understand them. And I think Project Humanities has done a really good job of understanding that. So long story short, never with me. What it's about, the ideas and principles, if those can be taught in all different areas, and even with existing groups, and how they can be better, if that makes sense, like people that are already trying to
Mhm.
help, that intersectionality, that way of just helping them be better
Mhm.
and be more effective,
Mhm.
would be amazing.
For sure. Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. I know, before Project Humanities, I would think about it like compassion is this way, and then, the research and facts is this way. But really bridging those two together is something I gained from just being a part of Project Humanities. And, it's so great to see, evidence-based compassion, I guess. I like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's so great. Evidence-based compassion.
Yeah.
And I love that he has people like you. I mean, every year for that. I mean, I want to go back to school to be an intern at Project
Yeah.
Humanities. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that is huge, and that's going to enact so much change. And that you guys are from different backgrounds.
Mhm.
That it's not just, somebody that's in the humanities that came in there. You've got like people that are doing videography or writing or whatever it else is, that you're bringing this into your education and whatever field and community that you go on to be a part of later after graduation. I think that's going to make a huge change and a huge difference. And that's how I wish we all had our educations, or I wish nobody else besides you guys, right, has it anyway, but I wish everybody had that kind of education
Mhm.
of the evidence-based compassion. Like, we can bring these worlds together. That's what the humanities are, and that's what the humanities do. And your leader has been saying that for decades, and it's starting to happen, which is exciting.
Yeah, I know, especially like just me interacting with the fellow interns and everybody at Project Humanities, we come from such different backgrounds, such different perspectives, and I could just have a conversation on Zoom forever, just just trying to ask them questions and get their opinion and get their experiences. So yeah, it's definitely it's a I think, especially with the pandemic, a lot of interaction was halted, but it also opened up the door for so much like global interaction and just even at some of the programs, I'll see people from so many different places around the globe. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's I guess it's a trade for a trade. Yeah.
that's a great way to put it. Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, it's that glass half full, right?
Yeah.
Positivity is still great.
Mhm.
It's just that when we refuse to look at the facts or agree what facts are and have the compassion there, that's when it becomes something toxic or negative. And we can look at a situation and go, okay, how can we use this to our benefit, or what have we learned from this? And really, I'm a huge geek. So I remember years and years and years and years ago, before the internet was big or before it even was around, that I was wanting this. I wanted to talk to people across the world. I wanted them to be like a pen pal type of thing. I wanted to have these conversations because when I traveled, I didn't feel so alone. I didn't feel so, I didn't stick out at all. There was many people that looked like me or very different than me and thought all different ways and enjoyed conversation. We just all didn't live in the same small town, right?
Mhm.
And so also to grow as a person, it's great to understand the lives of other people and kind of put yourself on the shelf for a while and listen to them. And that's, to me, is what technology was made to do. It's the Star Trek of technology. That's what it was supposed to be, bring us closer, right? But we didn't really use it for that much, and I think because of the pandemic we had to.
Mhm.
So I think life, the divine energy, or however you want to look at it, does these corrections over time. And I think that was one of those corrections to get us to stop. So you can be somebody that believes in a lot of spirituality and also likes evidence-based research. So it's great to see something bring all of those things together so that we can be compassionate and use the tools that we have to be better. So
Sure.
yeah, I love that you guys are doing this. I'm looking from afar now, but I get so excited every email I get and
Mhm.
gives me chills.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I think that's all the questions. Is there anything else you want to share about Project Humanities or any other comments or yeah, just
Yeah, no, it's just it's just a positive energy that I want to keep going. I think that if more people are aware of what the mission is, what you've accomplished already, and the caliber of individuals that are behind it, and I don't mean like a big name type of thing. What it is the years of dedication and research and devotion of the individuals that Dr. Lester brings forward to speak on subjects. It's absolutely amazing, and I think if there's so many people out there looking for all these different sources to get their information from, and you can find this one group of individuals that are out there to better our lives and also have spent decades fighting for those causes, as well as trying to bring up people like yourself who have that desire to make the world better, have that desire to see the world differently and make a change, and are a part of that as a part of your education. So I mean, I just think if more people understood like the power and the energy and the work that's been done by the people involved with the project, that they would want to be a part of it. Um, Obviously, that's how I feel personally. So, but yeah, if you guys ever need anything in the future, go ahead and ask. If none of this was usable and you want something else, go ahead and ask anytime. I'm just really proud to say that I've been even the smallest part of Project Humanities.
for sure. Yeah, I can let me stop the recording.